Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we've got a little bit of a change of pace. No reviews, no testing. We're going to get back into a little bit of, we had the mini series on the playing certain shots and explaining to you guys a little bit about different conditions and how to sort of prepare for different sort of scenarios where you find yourself on the golf course. And today specifically we want to look at the secret behind hitting the stinger shot.
Such a popular shot, especially on like Instagram. If you watch, we're talking about Gary
Woodland's
little montage is ridiculous, and obviously Tiger goes without saying. But
there was a really good video you guys should try and catch actually on the TaylorMade staff guys done. So it was Ram, DJ,
I saw that.
Rory, Jason Day, and Tiger, and they were doing the gapper. And,
is that what they were using?
So they were kind of hitting stingers with the gapper, and so Tiger goes up to hit it, and he hits one, and just rips this stinger perfect. And Tiger goes, "That was pretty good." And DVG goes, "Well, it should be good. You invented the shot." And it's so true.
It's true. He did basically invent
it. He really was. He was the guy back in the early 2000s when he had his golf swing just as good as a golf swing really has ever been. He had that stinger shot just under such perfect control.
Yeah, because so many guys over the years have hit whatever, low fades with a driver, get it in the fairway. I don't think anyone ever prior to that took like a 2-iron, hit it 4 feet off the ground and drew it into the fairway or whatever they called for, but it's cool stuff. So people want to know how to hit it, or at least have some insight into what might be going wrong. So I'll tell you, like honestly, when maybe like 5-6 years ago, terrible wind player, as I've told you a million times, trying to get the ball lower. And there's a bunch of stuff I tried to do, and it all just contributed to hitting a ball that goes like low to start and then just climbs up. And I think a lot of people get that result. And there's missing components which will show as to why your ball may be starting low, but then it ends up high because of, I guess, spin and other factors. But
and as this goes on, we will go into a little bit more of the science behind it. We'll talk about the physics involved and what you have to do to your angle of attack, what you have to do with your dynamic loft, how that influences spin loft, and getting the right launch window and obviously spin rate in order for that ball flight to come out that way.
Absolutely.
Okay. So 2019 US Open venue, Pebble Beach. We are here.
We are here, of course.
So we have the first hole. It's probably a driving iron off the tee, or not probably an iron off the tee for most guys.
And we're going to talk about the wind, but it's not a long hole.
No.
They're going to need to hit the fairway. Rough's going to be long, so you'll see a bunch of guys with iron in hand for sure.
Hybrid iron, something because a little bit of a dog leg, but if they can hit it. If they can hit it out there 230, 240, which for these guys is most of them's like a 3 or a 4 iron. They're set in with a nice 9 iron, off you go.
Absolutely.
So we're going to do that today. Now, the curveball is we have a little wind into us today.
As you would probably near the ocean, right? You always have a little bit of a breeze.
A little breeze. So what we're going to do is we're going to start getting Matt to hit some regular drive. Now you've got your Callaway 21. So we'll hit some standard ones and watch them stall a little bit in the wind. We expect that to happen. And then you're going to play the shot you need to play in order to kind of flatten that out.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, let's do it.
Let's see it. All right, so let me give you a sense of what you've got to hit it here. So Matty, we've got the bunker dead ahead at 250. So you kind of want to hit it up towards it. If you shape it a little bit with your normal little draw, then even better. But that would be the sort of ideal shape.
Plays a little bit uphill if we remember.
It does, 10 yards of elevation, quite a lot.
Yeah, it's quite a bit, isn't it? All right, well, I'll try to give you the standard kind of flight of this club.
Standard one.
It's pretty good.
So, hole 1 of the US Open, you'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah. You're playing a shot that's relatively stock, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really, really nice.
So based on that wind speed, I'm looking at I can cheat, I was going to ask you the question, but this launch monitor without any conditions says 250 carry. So the uphill on the wind.
Is that what that, interesting.
8 up, what is that, 20 yards?
20, so that one has carried there 220, 220.
Huh.
So not nearly as much. So peaking at 120 feet, launching at 11, 3,400. Nice numbers, good ball speed, Matty, really nice. But here's the interesting part, and this is where obviously we want to start to discuss the elements that come into hitting the stinger, how you're going to navigate that, and obviously loft will play a part. The number one mistake I see people make when they go to hit the stinger is they try and really hit down on it.
Okay, and that's everyone's instinct. I have the same thing.
So they either, because of that, they make bad contact, or they actually add spin because one of the sort of jaws of the spin loft window, one of the lower part of the vector actually gets wider.
By being steeper.
Yeah. So in order to create that sort of spin loft window, we're in the two-dimensional, sense and description, we have loft represented here, and launch will sit always just below loft, and then we have angle of attack, which between those two will create your spin loft window. So in a three-dimensional sense, those can separate. That's more into D-plane and that sort of stuff. But for the simplicity of the stinger, let's talk a little bit about how we narrow that gap. So two things need to happen. We need to be quite shallow.
Yep.
We don't need to be steep. And we need to bring loft down. So we either need to slightly shut the club face, or we need to obviously get the handle forward a little bit at impact.
So that's what pros are doing better, is that they're aware of, I don't need to start hitting 7 degrees down in my 2-iron. I just need to make the loft presented at impact less.
Yeah, so if we look at this, okay, so we're 2 degrees down, we have 15 degrees of delivered loft, we have a spin loft window of 17.
Yep.
We, in order to hit this with less spin, we have to shut that down slightly. So we can either shallow. We don't really want to do that. 2 degrees down is pretty shallow.
Don't want to, right?
So we want to manipulate dynamic loft. So we want to shut that one down, bring that down to about 10 or 11. See if we can get that spin loft around maybe 13, somewhere around about that.
And launch it at like 8 degrees or something
beautiful,
like that?
8 degrees. So if we get that down, about 12, we'll launch it around, about 9, somewhere in that window.
And you see the spin come down a bit?
Spin will come down about 1,000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Into the kind of mid to low 2s.
Yep.
And you'll really see that ball knuckle forward.
And then, so at that point, I think people ask, okay, well then doesn't it, are you going to carry it as far? And then that'll be the interesting thing for me, because I know with a stinger, obviously you're relying on more roll, but I think people just assume, it's not going to carry anywhere. Right. But because it's getting through the wind, it probably will carry almost the same distance.
Well, if the spin rate is lower, we'll probably see a little bit of a boost in ball speed as a result of a slightly stronger loft at impact. You probably won't give up too much. Into the wind, you'll probably actually pick up a little bit of carry.
And especially on the roll, you won't be rolling in only 6-7 yards.
Exactly. Okay. So key to that is going to be for you, Matty, just de-lofting this club and leaning the shaft a little bit. So, all right, got a little feel for that?
Yeah.
A nice little shallow, kind of back of the stands, but not hitting down on it too much.
I think that's the key. Moving it back, but then not having the instinct to then go down.
Correct. That's it.
Now, quick question. I asked you before. You don't want to be ever fading a stinger realistically, because you're going to spike your spin up.
You will most likely spike the spin with that. Some people do. You get someone like a Bubba who will hit get a flat cut,
which is hard to do.
Most people won't.
Yeah. So either kind of like a straight ball or a little bit of a draw.
A little bit of a draw would be perfect.
Okay. Ooh.
So we just drop the mic and
it came
walk off.
Really good. Yes.
And this is an interesting hole, Matty, because there's a cheeky little tree right at that corner. See
it's a nightmare tree.
It's a nightmare. Well, it would have been for your first ball.
Yeah.
Not so much for the second one. So, you've managed to sneak it, up level with that, so it's a non-factor for you. But for the first one, you probably would have had something to negotiate with that. I don't know really if you could have illustrated the two flights any better if you tried. Let's show that. Look at that.
Substantially lower launch, wasn't it?
Yeah. So lower launch. So ball speeds actually came out quite similar. Launch at 7.7, 2,800. Okay, so you've picked up 6 yards, and it's gave you a little bit more in total on the flatter flight.
And we're playing these fairways kind of, I would say, soft. Like they're not exactly on hard running fairway mode.
Certainly
but
not.
It illustrates there's more roll to be had anyway.
British Open, and this is uphill a little bit as well, but British Open conditions, we would certainly be chasing that one down the fairway. Those launch conditions in the British Open, I don't know if that's going to stop before 280 as long as it's not into the wind.
You just keep going.
And that's probably maybe even more than that, maybe 300. We saw that at Carnoustie last year, how much the ball was running. So,
interesting, and actually slightly slower swing.
Yeah,
but more output, just exactly the way you called it, because the face was delivered less loft. It jumped more, a little more speed.
So a misrepresentation of the strike.
I don't think I hit it there.
That's what Matty. That's what foresight call a glint. Occasionally, you can get a little bit of light shines on the face.
To be fair, we have a lot of external lighting in here. It's a studio lighting.
Yeah, so we do get some little hot spots in the face, and that's where that can be a misread. So that's fine. But you actually did increase your angle of attack a little bit, but you lowered you changed by 2.5, but here you changed by 5.
So I think it's fair to say my swing, the way it is standard, is probably more shallow than most anyway. Yeah. So I'm not surprised to say when I try to hit it lower, I'm probably more on the window than most people are anyway.
And as a result of moving that ball position back, you're naturally going to hit it down more, because as that golf club travels forward, it's shallowing as it moves on in the swing.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So for you, every frame that club moves forward, the club is closing.
Yep.
It's squaring, and it's also shallowing as you go.
Gotcha.
Okay. I mean, is there, do you want to hit a couple more?
What would be the point?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't mind seeing one that shallowed a little bit.
Okay.
Like 10, 11 with around 2-3 would be fascinating for me.
All right. So a little more shallow. You want the same kind of, try to have the same loft, but we don't want to be
let's see if we can get the same little flight. I mean, if we can shallow it slightly, it'd be great, but I know we're asking, we're asking a lot.
That's good. Again, I don't think I'll ever hit one as good as the first one, but that's pretty
close,
right? Yeah.
I don't think I'll hit one as good as the first one. As he hits it, look at this, dead on the line.
No, but the first one, the spin was a bit lower, no?
Was it? Yeah.
I think. That was the right,
you're starting your US Open off nicely if you're hitting that one.
You probably see a bunch of those.
A lot of that,
So 8 degrees, 3,000 spin, which is good. Probably not as low as it could be.
Can you do me one more favor? Mm-hmm. I want to turn this wind off and do the exact same thing. I just want to see. I want to show everyone what that does.
Same with the low ball though, yeah?
Yes.
Low ball with no wind.
Low ball. I mean, if you can basically just give me that last swing or as close to it as you can. Quite nice.
Similar line. Gonzo.
So there's the difference.
Yeah, that was good.
There's the difference of the wind up there for guys. So we've kept you, Matty, hitting the stinger flight, and that's such a perfect example. So
yeah, that was pretty close.
It was really close. Right. So there's very similar, as much as we can control similar conditions. But there's the value of 15 miles an hour. It's close to 25 yards up that hole. You've kept the spin rate the same, launch within a degree or so. Ball speed very, very tight. It's a big difference.
It's amazing. And that's with hitting the correct type of shot. If you had hit the wrong type of shot, you could lose 40 yards, 50 yards.
Absolutely. So
that also shows, sorry to interrupt, that's why pros get pissed off when the wind all of a sudden dies on like a par 3.
Oh, yeah.
Now you know why. Like, I missed a green by 25 yards because I thought it was...
Number 12 at the Masters, you look at those 4 guys who've all put it in the water there.
Yeah, exactly that.
So we've got 3 kind of shots to look at.
This is actually an interesting breakdown.
Right, so you've kind of got standard ball flight, 155 ball speed, 11 launch, 3400 highest one, so 220. Now this was
eaten up by the wind, yeah.
And then similar ball speeds all throughout. We changed the launch conditions the most with the stinger. You hit round the corner, kept the spin rate down, 225 into the wind, lovely. And then we obviously took the wind away. You hit it 1 degree higher, no big deal, but
tons of yardage.
Yeah, big pickup.
And I think the only missing puzzle piece from that summary is the amount to which the ball with the higher flighted shot would go offline if it wasn't perfect. So if you fanned it a little bit, or if you hooked it a bit into the wind, that standard flighted shot would just be gone, like it would be off the map. The lower ball, yes, you could, miss the fairway with it, but it wasn't getting eaten up and then curved by the wind. It was getting slowed down.
Definitely. So guys, I think what we can hopefully help you here with is the value of hitting the ball with less spin into the wind.
Yes.
Coming from obviously Scotland and having to play in these conditions, and I'll be truthful, I was never great in the wind when I first started playing tournament golf. Actually, I was a terrible wind player. It's not until you kind of figure out that 110 yards, you don't just put the gap wedge back in your stance and try and hit it harder.
That's very true.
You've got to hit maybe a little 9, sometimes even a little 8, in order to take the spin off. You've got to hit it softer. Into the breeze, swing with ease, as they say, and just in order to kind of flight it down a little bit more. And not that you're trying to flight it down more, but you have shown the value of lowering the spin, lowering the launch. A higher skilled player like yourself is able to manipulate those delivery parameters in order to create the right launch conditions.
But to be fair, as you said, it's easy just to do it with clubs, because the spin loft illustration you did, I think, was really easy to understand. As long as it's narrow, the wind's not going to touch it. It's when you go, just like you said, now I've got gap wedge, tons of loft now. And now I'm going to hit way down on my gap wedge. You're creating a nightmare wind ball. But the 8-iron already has less loft. You'll be a little more shallow with it because it's a longer club. So it's so much easier to hit into the wind that way.
And that's it. And that's why, again, when we have this spin loft window and if we keep the loft the same and hit steeper, we just got wider.
It just gets worse.
If we keep the angle of attack the same and add more loft, it gets wider. Now we can hit steeper and bring the loft down with it. That's why people think that, hitting down creates spin. It only does if it widens the spin loft window.
Okay.
It doesn't if you tilt them both down at the same rate.
It will stay the same.
It will stay the exact same.
And launch will come down.
Launch will come down because that sits just below the dynamic loft. So, okay, let us know your thoughts. Let us know your comments. Make sure you subscribe. Lots more stuff like this to come in the next few weeks.
Absolutely.
Okay, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.